Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit.
Okay, welcome back, all you citizens of the world. It's live from the Heartland for the week of February 7th. And I'm bringing on our first two guests for today, and they are the one and onlys, Gabe Gonzalez and Torrence Gardner. They're co-founders of Protect Rogers Park. And in these dire times with Trump in the White House and ICE running around our streets, we thought it would be really important to get some really grassroots action in response to all the negativity. So good morning to you, gentlemen.
Morning. Thank you for having us.
Tell us a little bit about Protect Rogers Park, how it came to be, and then we'll get into what it does. If you'd like to start, though, maybe just tell us what you see as the situation we're confronting.
Torrence, you want to start, or? Yeah, we started back in 2016. Basically, Gabe and Marisa and Jen and a few other folks at that time just simply got together as neighbors, quite frankly. We met at a previous Democratic Party meeting, ironically. And we kind of just gelled from there. Didn't know we were going to reconnect in life, but we all knew Trump was coming at that point. So when the Muslim ban came out at that time, with all the airport strikes and things like that, we came together literally that week, if I recall, and just said we have to protect ourselves and we need to protect our neighbors. And basically just made it very intentional. That's where the name comes out of. And from there, we had a big following where we started doing trainings and setting up our hotline system and doing a lot of other ways we can support people with resources. Sadly, we've had to bring it up again for round two. And that's where we're at currently, as you know, with the ICE raids that are now even probably more intense than they were back in 2016, quite frankly.
Torrence, let me ask you, in round one, how much action did you really have to do? Or were we just getting ready for what was to come now? It was
more getting ready and setting up the infrastructure. So we were pretty ahead this time around than other groups. So we've helped support other groups. Luckily, we had the infrastructure in place. So it was getting that infrastructure place was the biggest thing. We didn't get a lot of calls that first round, but we did give us at least the groundwork, really, that needed some work to get that set up and organized.
Well, this kind of borders our guy, Tom Homan, who really was threatening Chicago a lot. Also, last week, kind of had to compliment the Chicago people because there was a lot of education going on among the masses, and they were having a harder time cracking people. What do you guys hear and know about what kind of action ICE has been taking around town and the ramifications of that for the citizens of Chicago?
Yeah. So Holman definitely was hoping to make a example of the city of Chicago because it's a sanctuary city and it's a sanctuary state in Illinois. And what that basically means is that local law enforcement cannot, by law, coordinate with ICE. And so Holman wanted to make an example of that. He said as much that he was going to make an example of it. And then, it depends on how you look at it, right? So in the first 3 days, we know that they grabbed up about 300 people, which is a large number given that in the previous years, they did about 300 people a day across the country. So they got about 300 just in Chicago. But to the best of our knowledge, they had 7 warrants for this. So here's an important thing. Holman comes out and Trump comes out and they say that they are going to target people who have criminal records, who are dangerous people. They want to get them off the streets and keep us safe. 7 warrants out of 300 people picked up. So what about the other 293? Who are they? And Holman's been very clear. He's just going to grab up any undocumented person who happens to be with somebody who's got either a criminal warrant or an order of deportation. So a lot of these are what they call collateral arrests. These are just people living their lives, going about their business, and getting grabbed up by ICE and deported for the civil infraction of having entered the United States without papers. And so that's what we see going on. But the flip side of that is what we've been doing. And to date, and Torrence, if I get these numbers wrong, please correct me, but I believe we've trained 200 people in ice walks just in the Rogers.
Over 200. Yeah.
Huh?
Over 200. Yeah.
And we've got another training tomorrow. And then we are also, we've handed a lot of Know Your Rights flyers. There's a lot of organizations doing that. There's a very simple message for people. Don't open the door and don't talk to them. If they got a warrant, they're coming in. But if they don't have a warrant signed by a judge, they're not coming in. So don't let them in. And then we're also planning a big meeting coming up in 2 Saturdays on the 15th that I think Torrence could tell you a little bit more about.
Well, let's do it right now then. Tell us about it, Torrence.
Yeah. So the theme of this meeting is get action. Quite frankly, quite simple, get action. And when we say that, we've had a lot of neighbors reach out, and why we've had such a strong following at the local level, at the ground level, more than I would even say the Democratic Party, is because folks deeply just want to do something. They don't want to know if that it's something that's like a longer means or a longer mission. They just want to do something now, not for a politician. They just want to do something for their neighbors. So with that theme, we wanted to give an update on what we've gone so far. So a lot has happened, how many people have joined, some of the security infrastructure updates we put in place. And then we're going to have resource stations. These resource stations will be local orgs who are doing the work as well, and where they can get plugged in with those folks from our neighborhood, as well as ways they can plug in to protect our P directly. We do have a plan to do some more direct outreach throughout the neighborhoods. And that's a way we want to kind of get the word out and get more folks involved and get more folks who are undocumented aware of what we're doing. So this meeting will also kind of kickstart that kind of the movement of that. So again, this theme is get action, and the goal is to continuously find different action efforts throughout the months to come for this.
How do people get a hold of you and get involved and get to go to that meeting?
So there's we have an email, protectrp626@gmail.com. We monitor our email every day, and they can definitely do that. If they want to go straight to the meeting, as mentioned, it is next Saturday at Newfield Elementary.
It's at 12 to 2.
12 to 2, yep.
At Newfield Elementary School, which is 1707 West Morris.
Yep. Thank you.
Gabe, you were talking about the first week that Holman and his boys the ICE boys rounded up 300 people. Was that the first week or the first day?
That was the first 3 days.
First 3 days. When I was recording this show last week, it was on a Wednesday, and it was really cold, and it was the first day that things were starting to happen, I think, and a lot of reporting said that 26th Street was empty, and I don't know if that was the cold or people just aware of the situation. How do we know what's going on, really? How many of those people is the still streets are empty? Are there still people hiding out inside? Yes
and no. I think we see a lot less activity. I think if you talk to local businesses, I bet they would say that as well. It's definitely true in areas. Rogers Park has a lot of migrants and a lot of refugees, but there, in places like Little Village or Brighton Park, there's even more. So I think we see a lot of that, but more to the point, people are just plain scared, and this is really important. And this is about why we're having that meeting coming up, right? Like, the Trump administration has no intention of deporting 16 million people. It's a physical impossibility.
Right.
They physically can't do it. They don't want to do it because a lot of these people, unfortunately, prop up our economy, but they are threatening it, and they're making people scared, and that's what they want. They want people scared. And so we're combating that by bringing the neighborhood together. and saying that, like, you're not going to frighten us into complicity. You're not going to frighten us into hiding. We're one neighborhood, regardless of our immigration status, and we're going to stay as one neighborhood. And I think that message is really important, is that collectively we've got to come together and fight back on this, because this is the tip of the iceberg. The only way they win is by keeping people scared and keeping them down. And they're going to go after immigrants. They're going to go after trans and LGBTQ folks. They're going to go after African Americans. They're going to go after anybody, people looking for abortions. They're going to try and keep them all down so that they can do whatever they want to do. And we need to fight this now, and we need to fight it consistently.
In preparation for fighting things, how do you spot ICE? What do they look like? Do they have vehicles? And what has happened in Rogers Park so far? I saw some reports they were on Loyola's campus. I've seen reports they were up on the L. You got any info on any of that stuff?
Yeah, both of those instances, they weren't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear and a lot of overreaction. They have been in the neighborhood. We identified at least 2 for certain. There may have been more. In one instance, we got there in about 20 minutes, but they were already gone. In the other instance, it's about 15 minutes after we got the call, there were 12 neighbors outside ready to document and lend support if they got in the building. But luckily, the person there knew their rights and wouldn't let them in, and they had to leave. There's a lot of rumors flying around, and it's really important that people not overreact, like react quickly, but also not overreact and spread rumors that have not been verified one way or another. One thing we would suggest that people do is they can come to our Migro Watch training. Like I said, there's one tomorrow. They can email us and get information about it, and we can share that with them. What's the email again? I'm so terrible.
ProtectRP626@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's good. I hope a lot of people come to that meeting and learn more about it. What is the status of the immigration courts? Is that an obstacle to Trump and to Musk and Homan, that there are a backlog in the courts? There's some due process for people, or is the due process kind of being thrown out the window and people being shipped off to places like Guantanamo?
Yeah, I mean, the courts would matter if the guy believed in the law.
Yeah, exactly. We're on President times, Michael.
That's a question. What's going to happen in the court?
He's being challenged in court, right? And we'll see if it lives up. But I think he believes he's not going to get much intervention from other institutions. And so we're getting challenged with the separation of powers right now at all levels.
Well, you both are on the ground and active in trying to protect people and protect their rights. What's your sense about where this goes? We were just referencing that who knows what's happening. But do you see the people who, there's plenty of people who support Trump and voted for Trump and are not opposed to, sending migrants who have criminal records back to their countries of origin. But they're not so big on him going after families, breaking up families, arresting innocent people. But do they care? Do you think people out there are going to care? You think there's going to be a kind of a groundswell of reaction to this? Are you magicians? Can you tell me the answer to that?
Right. I'll put it this way. I think we have to go in phases. I'm a big fan of chess. So right now we're in the opening moves. We're seeing the opening moves is his blitz and the government, him and Elon. Can't forget about Elon Musk and the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and what they're doing, because that is truly impactful on families in America. And we'll see how that plays with their unpopularity or what happens with that long term, because then people will see it's not just undocumented folks being messed with. But I would say this is the opening salvo. We're doing the fight back. We're countering. We're setting up the counter moves right now. And then after the opening is done, we're into the middle game. The middle game, I think, is where more Americans are going to face different persecutions and different hits to their wallet or to their livelihood. And then I think we'll see what next moves we have to make from there. But it is a little difficult to say because right now we're in the blitz. I think he's throwing everything at everything to see what lands and what sticks. And then we'll see what the courts do.
Do you guys, as activists on the ground, dealing with incursions into our neighborhood, do you have any sense or suggestion to the Democratic Party what they should be doing and how they should act? Some people feel they're a little too timid. Some people are saying they haven't figured out and told others in the community what to do. I know they're trying to figure it out, but do you have any sense about where this leaves the Democratic Party? All of us have been involved with the 49th Ward Democratic Party, which is a pretty progressive outfit, and we wish more Democrats were like us. But what's your take on the national scene with the party?
I mean, I don't think that they have any idea what they're doing.
Agreed.
I mean, we've got great local leaders, and we're very grateful for the folks that represent Rogers Park, but I don't
We are lucky.
Yeah.
Democratic Party has any idea what they're doing. They're really back on their heels, and there's a reason for it, right? Like I was talking with some friends about this the other day. Ever since Citizens United, both the Republican and Democratic parties are the same paymasters, and everybody knows that. Like, you can't talk to working class America and have them believe for a second that the Democrats represent their interests, because I don't think they do.
Yeah.
So we need to sort of reinvent all of this. We need to reinvent like how we're going to work together and our sense of community, and we need to do it immediately. You know, the national parties, I think, are really bereft of ideas, and the Republican Party is essentially a kleptocracy, right? They're just ripping people off. The Democratic Party doesn't have any ideas, so we need to rebuild it. We need to start locally, and we need to build up. That's why we're doing this. We're not protect the North Side. We're not protect Chicago. We're protect RP because this is our community. It's where we live. This is where we can engage in conversation and talk to each other. And that's all of this is about keeping each other safe by building community. And maybe from that, we can give the Democratic Party some ideas.
Yeah, National Democratic Party needs to reverse back to learning what local really means. I think they need to really see what partnerships they can maybe partner with local orgs if they really do care at the national level. But until you see new leadership that have not been in there for over 25 years, I think that's going to be hard to change, to be quite frank. We need new young leaders in there who've been kind of cut out or not allowed opportunity to even get into politics at a higher level that many folks have just been sitting in for quite some time. So I think that would be a big thing as well.
Well, we've always been advocates of grassroots organizing and doing things from the bottom up. And, you know, Chicago has had a lot of that. Let me ask, we only got a couple minutes left. What other groups around the city do you know of that are doing similar activities or other activities that you would want to share a little information on? Are there other wards? Are there other, you know, sections of town?
They're all over this. I'm looking for there's a flyer that has a phone number that is really important for people to know. Like, so there are groups that are popping up like this all over the city and working in similar ways, right? And so we, regardless of your neighborhood, regardless of where you live, we would encourage people to get involved in that. You can find lots and lots of them all over.
So our Illinois Coalition for Immigration and Refugee Rights hotline number is 855-435-7693. People can email us at protectrp626@gmail.com.
And your training session is on the 15th at Newfield School on Morse Avenue, just east of Clark Street, from noon to 2.
Correct.
Okay, you each have 30 seconds. Give us a pep talk. What do you want people to do?
Well, like I started with, get action. Get action. Honestly, we can't just stay frozen. We need to be nimble and active at a time like this. They expect us to not. They expect us to be terrorized.
Thanks, Torrence. And how about you, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're safer together. Get involved, come out, get engaged. We're all safer when we're all together.
I want to thank you both for coming on, and I want to say that I think we can all be proud in the 49th Ward of a lot of things, but right now, Protect RP is really in the forefront, setting an example. And I want to encourage all our listeners to stay tuned.